Hello there, everyone, and welcome to Toon Talk with Andy. Now, in this episode, we're going to go through The Raven That Refused to Sing and Other Stories by Stephen Wilson. Now, this album was released on the 25th of February 2013. It's a prog rock / art rock / jazz fusion genre. So there's a mix of all of those. I mainly got into it based on recommendations from a close friend of mine who will introduce himself quite shortly. But the main part of this that I do love is the prog rock and jazz fusion bit. Those two genres, there's just something about it that really gets me going. But yeah, without further ado, welcome today's guest, AGP.
Hello.
Nice, that was very enthusiastic. Love that. Nice to have you on board, AGP. How's it going?
It's going rather well. I just re-listened to this today actually. Had to take notes.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, when was the first time you listened to the album?
Oh God, that was a while ago actually. Not a while ago. I think like a few months back.
A few months, wow.
That's pissing me off now. I really want to find out.
Yeah, go on, take your time if you want to find out.
No, I don't want to take my time.
Yeah,
Hold on.
okay.
There we are. 4 weeks ago actually. That's not that's not a while.
Wait, just 4 weeks? Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well, you were actually quite quick to recommend it to me, so I'll
Oh,
take
yeah.
that. That means it was an instant classic, I reckon.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, nice, love that. But yeah, a bit of information about the album itself. Now, Stephen Wilson, he did the lead vocals and a bunch of instruments like mellotron, keyboards, guitars, bass guitar, and stuff like that. But there was also some contribution by. Can you pronounce the names? Because I suck at names.
All right, so the other people who recorded the music with him involve Guthrie Govan, lead guitarist. You may know him from the band The Aristocrats, actually. Personally, I haven't heard anything from them, but I'm gonna assume. We have Nick Beggs on bass guitar and the Chapman Stick on the Holy Drinker. He
Right.
also does some backing vocals,
Ooh.
mostly on piano, keyboards, Hammond organ. We have Adam Holtzman, and another member from the Aristocrats, Marco Miniman, is on drums and percussions. And to
Cool.
top it all off, we have Theo Travis on the flute, saxophone, and clarinet.
Nice, love that. Now, there is one thing that I did notice just before we get into the album itself.
Yeah.
I wasn't too big of a fan of the drumming on this album. I'm not sure what it was. I
Aw.
feel like it was maybe a bit suppressed or just a bit like in the background. I guess that's kind of the point because, I don't know, I think it's more to like, don't quote me on this, but it felt like it was more to just keep the beat going instead of like having some sort of focus on the drums themselves, which is a bit difficult to me to go from prog rock, prog metal to then
Yeah.
this, where the drums are a bit more suppressed, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Like, I really like the drums because, one thing with Steven Wilson, like I feel personally, is he
Hmm.
always wants to keep things balanced. Like not every instrument, gets shines very much. Like let's say Dream Theater, where the
Yeah.
John Petrucci just starts shredding, and that's the main focus. It's more like a balance type thing with Steven Wilson, for
Yeah.
me at least. And I feel like the drums, I really like the drums on this album. They really work well with the songs, personally, in my
Nice, that's
opinion.
fair, that's fair. Like, I'm not saying this as a
Yeah,
sort of disrespect, it's just that I do like to have a bit of
the
like focus
flash.
on each instrument, like during the course of the song. Like with
Yeah,
Dream Theater, you'll have Jordan Rudess just going ham on his keyboard, and then you'll have Petrucci doing his thing. Then you'll
yeah,
hear Mangini or Portnoy do his thing. That kind of thing. I like that sort of balance a bit better than just having
yeah.
everything kind of mellow. But each to their own. But yeah, Stephen Wilson, you may know him from Porcupine Tree, and of course his own solo career as, well, Stephen Wilson. He's also a very known audio engineer and producer, and he's worked with several albums. For the most part, Porcupine Tree, of course, he was part of that band. Is that band still active?
Yeah, well, they went on tour recently, but like they said in the Q&A they did about the newest album that because it's called Continuation and Closure, like this is either the end of Porcupine Tree or a new start or something like that. So I don't
Uh,
really know if they're still going at it, but I think they're still doing some concerts, so I don't know.
nice, okay. So at least somewhat active.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's also worked on Blackwater Park, Deliverance, and Damnation by the band
Yeah.
Opeth, it's a brilliant band, and we'll most definitely get into that band at another point in time because holy god, they have so many
Oh
brilliant
yeah.
albums. And EGP here, he is the Opeth expert that I know.
Wow.
He is absolutely phenomenal with that
Yeah.
stuff.
I am fully converted to Opeth,
Fully
basically.
converted,
I'm
love
fully
that.
converted.
And yeah, Stephen Wilson, he has also remixed a whole bunch of famous albums from the
Oh yeah.
70s, like Close to the Edge by Yes, In the Court of the Crimson King by King Crimson, Octopus by Gentle Giant, which was the album that we actually talked about last time around, one of my personal favourites, at least in recent times, Aqualung by Jethro Tull, and so on. So he has done a whole bunch of stuff. He has also actually, fun fact, worked on a song with an EDM type band called Pendulum, which I really love. It's quite different to this sort of style, but it's still fun noticing these types of random collabs. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into the album itself. Right, so the first song on the album is called Luminol. Now, I personally ranked this as an 8.5 out of 10. It's mostly because, how do I put this? Like, it's an amazing song. I've got to say that. It's just, I feel like I would have liked some more vocals a bit earlier on that tune. It's just a personal preference. I'm a lyrics guy. I'm a vocal guy. I love that type of stuff. The instrumentals, they were great. And I really got to say it really set the tone for the rest of the album because it just sets this like melancholic vibe like right off the bat.
Yes.
Which just, I love it. Like, this has become my go-to sad album. If I want to cry my eyes out, this is the album.
Yeah.
Yeah, thoughts?
Yeah, so I also actually ranked it an 8.5 out of 10. So
Hey.
one thing I really noticed when listening to this, today again, since the last time was there's the bass in this song, the bass work, the great bass line in the intro. Also in certain places really reminds me of Opeth and Jethro Tull actually.
Oh,
Opeth mostly with, the keyboard synthesizer stuff.
yeah.
Also just the overall sound you can hear the like kind of building and the flute comes in
Oh,
certain
yeah.
places too, which that's like classic Jethro Tull.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, the bass was really like steering the ship for me. Really like the vocals too. There weren't like a lot of vocals from what I remember. When the vocals did come in, I really enjoyed them.
Yeah,
It really
same.
fit the song, yeah. And the drumming too. You're gonna hear me say this a lot, but with great drumming throughout this song. So yeah, we agree on this song.
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing is that, like, once listening to this song, I'm just like, okay, when are the lyrics coming? Or, like,
Yeah.
the vocals, I mean, when are they coming? Now? Or now? Or now? And it kind of kept me waiting, but it's not like, it's no sort of disappointment. It's just like, I don't know how to properly describe this. It's just that I really wanted vocals a bit earlier on. But yeah, again, 8.5 out of 10 is a great rating. Do not get us wrong. But yeah, the next song. This song is actually, since I know how much you love this song, you may start.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Andy. So I
You're
ranked this
welcome.
song a 10 out of 10.
Holy moly! Okay.
So just from the start, from the intro, it's so fabulous. It's an excellent intro, really sets the mood for the rest of the song. I love the use of, clean guitar tones, all of that in the beginning.
Yeah,
The lyrics too. I'm not that much of a lyrics guy, but the lyrics are really powerful on this song too. The
absolutely, yeah.
verses, the verses hit perfectly with how the vocals are delivered too. And the chorus, it's excellent. Also, we can't just skip over the guitar solo. It's one of the best I've ever heard. And fun fact, it was actually Guthrie Govan, the guitarist. He did like 4 or 5 takes, I think, and they were all fully improvised. So he just made it up on the spot. And this was like the first
Wow.
or second take.
That's
So yeah,
really impressive.
it's really impressive. Yeah. This is one of my current favorite songs, most likely a top 50 of mine. I love this song.
Yeah, that's fully understandable. It's such a phenomenal song. Now, I personally, my rating isn't too far off, but I couldn't properly justify giving it a 10 out of 10 just yet, because for a song to become a 10 out of 10 for me, it does kind of have to bring a bit of an emotional factor. And this one, I feel like it's brewing something. So, like, maybe in a year's time, it could be a 10 out of 10. But for the time being, it's a 9.5 out of 10. Like, still a phenomenal song. There's nothing wrong with it. And the first time you hear Stephen Wilson just sing "Drive Home," that slow
Yeah.
freaking harmony. Ah, love that.
Oh, the
And the
ending.
instrumentals
It's
are
so
phenomenal. I
perfect.
do agree that the guitar solo is absolutely fantastic. It's brilliant. This song is just the epitome of brilliant lyricism, brilliant songwriting, and overall just a phenomenal. It's the whole package. So yeah, in a year's time, it might become a 10. You never know. So far, I only have 3 songs in my 10 out of 10 category, but we'll get into that at another point in time. So the next song on the album, the third song, The Holy Drinker. I actually ranked this as the worst song on the album. Not because it's bad by any means.
Yeah.
It's a 7.5 out of 10 in my opinion. It's not because it's bad. It's just because I feel like it doesn't quite live up to the other songs in terms of the songwriting and the lyrics, especially. The instrumentals, I feel like they were fine. They were not bad, not like revolutionary, but they did the job. And it's just one of those songs that I would rather just strictly listen to if I'm putting on the album in its entirety. I wouldn't just like search up The Holy Drinker and then put it on, if you know what I mean. Your thoughts?
Yeah, so I actually ranked this as an 8. This is the second worst song on the album, in my opinion.
Ah.
You'll hear later which one I think is the worst.
Ooh.
So yeah, there was a really cool intro on this song, I remember. Also, some very great sax usage. I really
Yes.
didn't expect a lot of sax on this album, but they bring the whole package, I guess. It was also a lot more proggy, like a lot more. What should I say? You can hear it's a lot more like prog inspired maybe than the previous songs.
Yeah.
More wild maybe.
Yeah, that's fair.
It was a really haunting mood too. It really set a haunting atmosphere, which is carried on throughout the album. And the
Absolutely.
outro too. His outro was pretty good too, but yeah, it doesn't really hold up to the other songs that are ranked high for me. But it still is a very solid song, very good song.
Yeah, absolutely. This next song, The Pin Drop. AGP, give it a shot.
All right, so this is the worst song on the album in my opinion.
Oh,
At a 7.5.
okay.
This song really reminded me of Porcupine Tree, especially like at some point, like it's very like very Porcupine. I mean, it does make sense, I guess, in Steven
Yeah,
Wilson, but
I mean, yeah.
compared to the other songs, this is a lot more of a Porcupine Tree type sound, which isn't bad. Porcupine Tree is great and all.
Yeah.
Guitar solo was very good. The vocals did the job too. Thing is, just there wasn't. I didn't have a lot to say about this song. I do have a lot to say, like about Drive Home, let's say, or Luminal, but not a lot to say about this song.
Yeah, that's fair. Now, in my personal opinion, I rated it at an 8 out of 10, so we kind of swapped the rankings
Yeah.
for The Holy Drinker and The Pin Drop. But yeah, I feel like this song just had something that The Holy Drinker didn't have, which is more of a replayability factor, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Other than that, I feel like it's basically kind of similar in terms of which would I rather, like, how should I put this? Like, the songwriting itself, I feel like it's on par, but again, the replayability factor is just that little bit better on the pin drop. As you said, good guitar solo and stuff, and solid instrumentals. I didn't really have anything special to say about the lyrics on this song, so that kind of drags it down from where it could have ranked. But yeah, it's a solid song, and it fits the album really well, so yeah, that's basically all I have to say about that. Now, the second to last song, The Watchmaker. Now, this is actually my second highest ranking song on the album. At a 9 out of 10. This song is just phenomenal. I love nearly everything about it. Now, the only issue I have with it is that it feels like it kind of drags a bit towards the end. But other than that, I feel like, it's 11 minutes long. But yeah, I feel like it drags a bit towards the end. Other than that, I absolutely love the song. It doesn't quite live up to Drive Home because Drive Home is just, it also brings that emotional factor, which this song doesn't really do. This song is just a good song. A brilliant song, in fact. What are your thoughts?
So actually, it appears we have very similar thoughts on most of the songs. I also ranked this a 9.
Yo!
It was a very pleasant intro. Very soothing and pleasant song overall. Towards the end, it kind of stepped up a bit, but most of the song is very soothing and very pleasant. I really loved the dynamics too throughout the song. They start and gradually building up, and then it goes up, then it goes down again, goes up, down, etc. I also really love the instrumentations on this song. They really nailed it on that part. So don't really have anything else to say though.
Yeah, that's fair. And the last song on the album, The Raven That Refused to Sing. I feel like you should start with this one.
Oh yeah, I ranked this song a 9.5 out of 10.
Whoa, okay.
It's a very ominous song, very haunting, but like it's also it's slightly nostalgic too, but not like in a good memory type way. It's like you're
Oh,
living through a bad memory. That's kind of what the song made me feel like. It's like you're watching a movie about someone's life going to shit or something.
yeah, you put
And
that brilliantly.
the lyrics emphasize that too. Like I'm not that big of a lyrics guy, but one look at the lyrics and immediately you just notice how sad they are. Still powerful, very powerful song. Really hit me hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Stephen Wilson, he is kind of a melancholic kind of guy. So I'm not sure if he's struggling with stuff or if he's just a fan of writing melancholic type songs. But I actually ranked this song at an 8 out of 10. But that's, again, mostly due to the replayability factor. The song is, as you said, quite haunting and it really sets the vibe. And I do agree that it kind of gets you kind of experience, like living through another person's memory, if
Yeah.
that's kind of what you were on about.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, I really just appreciate the songwriting overall. Now, this is the only song, along with the Pin Drop, that has the same rating on this album. If I had to pick between the two of them, I probably would choose The Raven That Refused to Sing to be a tiny bit better, but I couldn't quite justify putting it on the same spot as Luminol. It's like if I were more specific with these rankings, I would probably put The Raven That Refused to Sing at like an 8.2 and a half.
Yeah.
But it's like it doesn't matter. It's just it's roughly the same in terms of quality. But yeah, again, a brilliant song, sets the vibe, brilliant ending to the
Oh
absolutely
yeah.
phenomenal album that The Raven That Refused to Sing is. But yeah, that's it for the songs. Now, in terms of the album in its entirety, HP, go.
This is, in my opinion, a masterpiece in prog history, especially in modern prog history. It's a masterpiece album by Steven Wilson. This album, alongside Hank Cannot Erase, the fact that he went back to back in the course of 2 years with those two albums, I don't know how he did it, but it's just
Hmm.
excellent. I still think this is a bit better though than Hank Cannot Erase. I don't know if you agree with that, but.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, and much like most of his work, other work, mixing, production, I don't know too much about it. I know more about mixing than I do production, etc. But I really loved how the album was mixed, and the production is just excellent, like most
Absolutely. Yeah.
Steven Wilson stuff. The music itself too, it's excellent and powerful, and there's a lot of talent when it comes to the musicians that he collaborated with, and it really showed on this album. Guthrie Govan really outdid himself with that Drive Home solo, and the other
Yeah.
solo on, what was it, the Pin Drop too. Malcolm Miniman's drumming too really fits the songs. And you also have the other guys who did fantastic, especially piano and flute, which is the other guys, and vocals too. Vocals too are really good, fitting. Maybe could be some more vocals in some spaces,
Yeah.
some certain times in songs, but yeah, the talent that the musicians have, they really showed on this album. They really outdid themselves. And one other observation I really made is that, Opeth, with Heritage, which came 3 years before this, they started
Hmm.
going a more prog rock sound compared to their growlings and all that stuff
Yeah.
from the other albums. Yeah, one thing I really noticed is that I think this album really inspired Opeth. Maybe Mikael Åkerfeldt, who is the main songwriter, I think. Some Opeth that I heard from that era really reminds me of this at certain parts. I don't know if it's the synth usage and just the vocals too, but yeah, I firmly believe this album was, big inspiration for them.
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair. So, what's your overall ranking?
Oh yeah, my overall ranking ended up at 8.75, but this album is just too good, so I put it at a 9 just to round it up. We can't be having 8.75s, that just looks
Yeah.
ugly.
Yeah, that's fair. I fully agree with
Yeah.
that. Now, me on the other hand, it's actually quite a similar rating. I do agree with most of your points there. I can't really speak on the Opeth inspiration because I haven't gone through their entire discography yet. Is Damnation part of the batch you're on about, or is that
No,
prior? Or...
Damnation came in 2002, but that's a good
Okay.
observation actually. Damnation has very similar, I can really hear the Damnation too in this album actually.
Yeah, I feel like
More
both
of a
albums are
mellow,
really,
yeah,
yeah, melancholic and just
yeah,
kind of haunting in a
very
way.
depressing sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Also, they have very similar, like, what should we say, synthesizers to, like, you can hear, I don't remember the songs and whatever, but, you can just hear that they inspire each other. And, they've worked together before and stuff, but
Yeah, and I absolutely respect the absolute Christ out of bands and artists who decide to work together,
Oh
whether it's
yeah,
behind the scenes or taking inspiration from one another and then mutually like building upon one another's crafts. I really
yes,
like that about especially the prog scene, that everyone like respects each other and they're
oh
actually
yeah.
taking active steps in trying to improve each other's, well,
There are no
work
assholes in
basically.
Prague. Let's
Sure,
put it
sure,
like that.
sure. But yeah, again, I oh, something just fell. Anyways, I decided to give this album an 8.5 out of 10. The only points that I somewhat disagree with you with is the drumming, as I said on the first song. I feel like the drumming on this album as a whole was a bit suppressed, which then again, it's probably very much intended. It's just, I don't know. I've gotten so used to more of a
Yeah,
prominent piece of drumming that it feels kind of off having it so suppressed. But then
yeah,
again, it's not it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just it gets me trying to like listen. Like, is this drumming good or is it? I don't know. I feel like
yeah.
maybe if I give it another listen or several listens across a couple of months, maybe my opinion will change. But yeah, it's a very strong album. It's melancholic as shit, but
Yeah.
yeah, I love it. I love that some albums and some artists actually take a step in trying to create this emotional factor that actually boosts the album, in my opinion. So yeah, as you said, everyone involved in making this album, they fully outdid themselves. Fantastic work, every single one of them, especially Steven Wilson. He's such an amazing songwriter. He actually has to be my number one in terms
Oh
of
yeah.
both lyrics and songwriting in general.
He's such an excellent musician, you know. He has such a great vision of things too.
Absolutely. Now,
Yeah.
I can't quite remember if I mentioned this earlier, but you
Yes,
have the
me.
potential to become a recurring guest. Now, are
Oh
there any
yeah.
albums in particular that we may be able to, hear from you on?
Oh yeah.
Do
Do you want
tell.
me to go through them all?
Yeah, you know what? Let's do one at a time. Which is
Yeah.
the next album you'll
Well,
feature on?
the next album I'll feature on is, well, we spoke about this band earlier. It's Opeth with the
Yeah,
album Watershed. Holy.
Watershed.
Oh
Yep.
yeah.
But yeah. Anyways, we're really looking forward to having you on board on those albums. It's been absolutely fantastic having you on board for this episode of Tune Talk with Andy. But anyways, thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you guys so much for watching. Greatly appreciate you guys dropping by, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.